In this LensVid Talk, we're looking at fast wide lenses, the comeback of Super 8 cameras, and nuclear submarines. Stick around.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, Art.
How you doing?
And we're doing LensVid Talk 12.
12.
No more fingers.
No more fingers. I've run out officially.
Yeah, and this time around we have quite a few topics. Again, like last time, not too many, but quite a few interesting ones. So I want to start with a review that I've been working on for quite a long time, actually. This is a review of the Sigma 14mm f1.4.
Right.
And I've actually been using this lens for quite a few months. I think 3, 4, maybe more. And I've taken it to all sorts of places, but maybe the most interesting one, I think I mentioned this on previous talks. I've taken it to the south of the country, basically to shoot some meteor shower with some astrophotographers. I'm not an astrophotographer by any stretch of the imagination, but they are. They've been doing this for years. And we also had a chance to compare it to some other lenses, the Sony 14mm f1.8 and a few others. It was pretty interesting. It was an interesting experience as somebody who's not in that niche. So that was interesting. And the review itself is, well, it's a complex lens to review. Basically, my thoughts. I know when you heard the first time that they're releasing it, what were you thinking? What were your thoughts?
Personally, for my shooting, I don't really need such a wide lens, so it wasn't like it didn't really catch my interest. Yeah, yes, it's great. It's fast. It's wide. I mean, that's what you have. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I have the 1635 that I use. I actually use it more on the crop sensor because the 16 on the full is just too wide for my legs. I don't like the distortion. It really
For
bothers me.
people, it's not ideal at all.
It's not ideal, right?
Yeah.
For like, so I don't really have an. I mean, I understand, landscapes and having a fast lens for astrophotography. That's all great, but again, it's just not my shooting.
So my sort of conclusion, again, I'm not coming from that niche, but I did talk to a lot of astrophotographers who've been doing this for years. And I was kind of surprised. My thoughts initially was that, they were really thrilled about this lens because, that's a 14mm and it's like the fastest in the world. It's 1.4. And actually, from at least the people that I've been talking to, were not that excited about the 1.4 aspect. They were more like not really thrilled about how big and heavy it is. Not to mention the price, but especially the size. It's kind of big. And I've been asking them, will the f1.4 over, let's say, the f1.8 give you any big advantage? And most of them said in the majority of situation, no, because they don't even shoot at f1.8. A lot of them shoot at f2, f2.2, something like that. So I know they did say that for like shooting the aurora in video, that might actually be a good scenario for using it. But for general like stills astrophotography, most of them said that they would probably not use it at f1.4, and then what's the point? They would probably go with the Sony, which costs less, is smaller and lighter, and we'll talk about sharpness in their review. But it's so the problem is that in my view, it's a fantastic like technological achievement or engineering achievement in terms of what Sigma was able to do here. But from a practical standpoint, I'm not sure that it has a lot of like actual uses that make sense for its cost, size, and weight. So that's more or less my conclusion about this lens. But more in the review.
Yeah.
And now you've been working on something for equally long time as long as I've been working on this one, the Godox P600.
Right.
So what can you tell us about it?
It's just big, not big. It's a very bright, compact actually. As far as size goes, it's not very big, but it's bright. It's
a 1x1 panel. This one is a bicolor.
Right. They have.
But they have. We saw in IBC. We saw the RGB version.
They have the 1x1, the 1x2, the RGB, the bi.
They have a million versions. Yeah.
Right. So ours it's the no LED series from Godox.
I think all of them are from this series.
Right. I mean, these panels is it's a Godox no LED P600, 600-watt hard light. Ours it came with a soft box.
Actually, yeah, it came later.
Later,
because we asked for it. Yeah,
it's taken so long because they've sent accessories at different points.
It's kind of if I remember correctly, it's a hard light, right?
It is a hard light. Yeah.
So the softbox is kind of strange, but but you need to diffuse it somehow.
You do.
You can obviously use like scrims and
exactly
all sorts of other ways, but if you want something relatively compact and something that you can move around, then a softbox is probably your only solution. What do you think about the softbox?
Softbox is good, but again, I think it kind of defeats the purpose of having a compact panel. Because if it were a soft panel, you would have it all in the one.
Do they have? Did we see a soft version of that? I think we did.
This one, I'm not sure. Well, they didn't have it on the show floor, but they did have the other ones in hard and soft.
No, this one they didn't, but they have exactly.
Right. Yeah. So it's a great. We have other panels from Godox that we've the 150s that we've been
this
using.
one is way
more powerful. It's great.
I think that also it's a little bit better built. I think it's like
it's more advanced because one, it didn't have a power brick.
Yeah, this one really surprised me.
Which is great. I mean, for transporting and for just general, you don't have to hang anything off of it, which was always a.
This is one of the only, I think, high power panels that I've seen that doesn't have a power brick.
I heard something.
We asked them how they did it. They didn't really understand the question, to be if you remember.
Yeah.
We asked them like off record, how did they achieve this, and whether or not they used
gallium
nitride, and they didn't really understand what we were asking. I'm still wondering.
I'm thinking that's kind of the trajectory for development now, because I did see somebody else, can't remember who, one of the other competition
or somebody
that also has a powerful light without a power brick. So it's great, but once you put the big softbox on it, it kind of defeats the purpose. So it's amazing as far as packing the power in. We took it on a shoot a while back, and I mean it basically
lit the whole room,
lit up
more or less. Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, that review is coming soon.
Okay, so that's that. Another quick thing that was just recently announced, and you actually got it ahead of time, so that was nice. Is a FALCAM F38 quick release kit for backpack version 2. That's a long one.
Yeah.
So what can you tell me? You've been using it, right?
Yeah, it's on the backpack. It's I think it's great. The only one I can compare it personally to, because those are the only two I've used, is the Peak Design.
Yeah, I also use it. Yeah,
this one's so much better, because I mean, I have nothing against Peak Design, but
no, I didn't like
anything that requires you to screw things in on the fly, it just doesn't work for me. Like, maybe it's me and I'm clumsy, but it's if you're in the field and you have to screw things on, especially in this position. We're talking. I don't know if it's clear. We're talking about a clip that goes onto your backpack. They show that you can actually put in your belt. I think you would have to be sideways, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better on the back. So if you're trying to close this onto your backpack, and then it gets loose with the thumb screw, so it's no good. This one is a clasp design. It has a like a drawstring close, and then you lock it in. The only thing, and then
It came with a plate?
it came with a plate.
It's an Arca, right?
It's an Arca plate. It's their own one because, and it has. I'm not sure how it's
We
special to their
tried
whole
just a
system.
few minutes ago, basically, other Arcas. Some worked, but we have our main ones are hybrid, basically RC2 and Arca
Right.
from Manfrotto, and those don't work.
Yeah, because they're just a little too long.
Yeah, that's
Because
that's
Arca,
kind of a bummer.
The basic Arca is just, it's a rail system, right? So it just
Yeah.
slides in, and you tighten it. It's a tension mechanism. But this one is a little shorter, so it locks in, so it doesn't fall out. And it's that I really like, because there's a release button with a fail safe. You can lock the release button, so it's really secure on
Yeah.
there. The construction is great. The only thing, it has this button to undo, like to release the actual buckle from
The bag.
from the bag. And I tend to want to push things when I see a button. It's like, oh, what's
That's
this?
dangerous.
So I mean, it wouldn't. There's a fail safe inside.
Ah, okay.
It wouldn't fall off. But it's like, yeah, okay. It can be prone to user error with somebody like me, but yeah, I've yet to to do that.
Yeah, so that will get either a mention in. You're also working on some other products that they send us, so probably together with them there will be a mention of this.
Exactly, there's going to be a video on FALCAM, their whole ecosystem with the cage and.
They sent you a half cage, I think, a full cage, and this.
And handles.
Handles. Okay,
Yeah.
so all sorts of stuff. So that's FALCAM. There is a series of anamorphic lenses from a company that, well, I know the original name. I didn't know the new name. It's called Blazar. Blazar. But the other name that I knew was Greyjoy, which is also a pretty strange name. But yeah, no, but I think you heard about them, right?
I kind of there's names out there for products or manufacturers that are kind of like back of the list, you know, and that was always for me like Greyjoy. Okay.
Yeah, the name itself is strange. Maybe this is why they chose Blazar. Anyway, the lenses we are talking about are 1.5 anamorphic, and in this group they have 45T 2.0, 65 T.0, 2.0, and 100 millimeter T 2.8.
Yeah.
And they come in either EF or PL, which is kind of
limited.
Yeah, but that's the norm for a lot of those non-mirrorless versions of these anamorphic lenses, and they're pretty big. They have either blue, amber, or amber flare. Flare. It's 700 to 800 grams. It's not too heavy. I mean,
they're not very heavy. They're actually pretty small.
Really?
They're 12. No, they're 12 centimeters. The biggest one. They're not the same size.
I didn't see them in relation to.
Yeah, they only had a couple of photos, and it's like you couldn't tell they had it. Actually, it's a vintage looking lens, so they have it on a vintage. Yeah, they have it on a vintage camera, so you can't tell what size it is. But it's actually the 100 millimeter one is the tallest one. They're not like other series where they're all the same size and gears in the same place. So, I mean, for the look of the actual style of the lens.
I need to see a review of this lens to say anything beyond what I said.
I thought that they were pretty limited.
The series itself cost, like all three of them, $2,800. So it's less than $1,000 per lens. Fairly cheap.
Fairly small. Again, I mean, you usually get sets because, well, of course, you want the same look, right? So if it has a special optical quality to it, then great. But you usually get sets because it's easier you don't have to move your rigs around, right? Take one off, you put one on, right?
Yeah, but
same
in this
location.
Case,
So I'm not sure what they're thinking there, but the small aspect of it,
it's pretty difficult to do the long lenses the same size as the small ones.
Yeah.
Unless you do the small ones pretty big, and then
exactly.
Some companies do that, but yeah. This one is for you, I think. There is.
It's for me, but I don't know about that price.
Yeah, that's kind of bizarre. So there is this Kodak Super 8 camera, which
Yeah.
is like a traditional Super 8 movie camera. I don't know if you
Film
remember
camera,
those
yeah.
film cameras, yeah. But they incorporated all sorts of like modern technology,
Digital aspects.
yeah. So it's like what does it have? A screen
It has a
with
screen. It has a screen. Oh, it has a like a built-in battery, I think. Yeah, it's got
okay.
photos on the screen.
And it costs, I don't remember.
$5,000, something like that.
No, I think wasn't it $500? And maybe I'm mistaken.
$500? No, $5,000.
Are you sure?
That's the outrage.
Sure?
They're selling the.
I'll write
Kodak.
it on the screen. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
that was the whole thing. Apparently,
I
I had
wouldn't
no.
buy it for $500, but that's just me.
But like, I hadn't thought of a Super 8 camera ever, probably. But apparently it's a thing. Now that
Really?
this came out, I started looking at it and like, who would want it? Apparently it's a thing now with wedding videographers.
What?
Where they do their regular camera shoot.
Shoot your wedding in a crappy way.
Yeah, but they will add like they'll do the regular video, but they will also have like these snippets with the Super 8, which they just buy the old school one and then.
And what? They then digitize it?
Yeah. It's a if
You can do an effect in
exactly. If you ask me, it's a gimmick. It's more for probably just the fun of it because they actually hand it to like the
okay,
guests and whatever, and
no,
they just
if
crank
it's an
it.
experience sort of thing. That's a
Yeah,
different
that's
thing.
great. But yeah, when if it's a vintage or camera, you give it to pass it around the crowd. That's one thing. You're not gonna give that $5,000 camera to a bunch of drunk guests.
Yeah,
I don't think I wouldn't.
Yep.
I mean, I'm happy Kodak is kind of
it's
back.
not exactly Kodak. It's like that's been passed around. Whatever. They kept the brand name because that's what's keeping this. Yeah,
That's the selling point.
yeah. This one is nice. Vaxis. Did we ever test anything by Vaxis?
That's the first I hear of them.
Vaxis is like there are three. Ah, really?
Yeah.
There are three companies which are doing sort of like similar things. There is Vaxis, there is Holy Land, and there is another company that you tested some of their stuff, the iPhone transmitter.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'll write it
Put it
on the screen. Yeah, as usual. But anyway, they have so all of them are doing basically similar sort of things. This is the Vaxis Litecomm V1. So it's a Full-Duplex wireless intercom system.
But it's really light.
It's really different than the one that you tested from Holy Land. Like,
which was great.
I
really loved it.
Fantastic. I really loved it as well. This one is not necessarily better or worse. It's just very different.
It's a different approach.
Exactly. It has, as far as I can tell, it has two components for each person, right? Instead of one.
Yeah.
So you have like a
belt pack.
Exactly. You have a belt pack. I didn't understand if it's a wireless sort of. I think.
You would think, yeah.
I think you don't have a. I think that it doesn't.
Because if you don't have a wire, then you would just connect directly to the headset.
Headset to headset, you mean?
Yeah.
No,
I see what you mean. So yeah,
I'm thinking that the whole thing is that the headset itself is like super light. It's like 30 grams, 60 grams, something like.
Yeah, it looks like a sport type over the ear headphones
with a small mic that you can open.
Yeah.
Right. And the belt pack is just a small cube with some buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, the small cube has a much larger battery and a transmitter and everything. So it's on the belt, so you don't have to carry it on you, and then it's not heavy, and then it's convenient to be with all day, basically.
Yeah.
That's the logic. So you have a longer range on one hand and lighter weight on the other hand, and longer range, and basically the better of all worlds. It looks really nice. I know we need to test it. I don't know. I can talk to them, but it's certainly something that can be interesting for some situations, like just like the HoloLens.
It's having a comm system is great for. I mean, if you've never used it, then you don't really know.
I think that before
it's very versatile.
Before we tested the HoloLens, if you suggested this to me, I would say I have no need for that.
Yeah, like why would you? You just
I just talk to you. What's the problem?
Yeah, I mean for big productions where there's a bunch of people and they're not in the same place, then of course. But even on like we were shooting like two cameras. There was a Canon ad that we were shooting. And just because
there was wind and stuff, and we didn't need
we
to
were
shout.
5 yards apart, and we could talk easily and not interfere with the talent talk, and so
exactly,
it was great.
It was,
and there, the only thing there, because it was in the middle of summer, and you have the over the ear soft foamy thing.
We tend to remove it all the time because
they get sweaty. They get it gets hot. With these, you don't have that problem.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really interesting. We'll have to see if we can test it. This one is something that I had to add because this is a friend, or at least a colleague of ours. It's James Quantz Jr. is an American photographer. He's a sports photographer, but a commercial sports photographer. So he's not like shooting the actual games usually. He's shooting like the players. He's a fantastic photographer. You should really watch his videos. He has a great channel. And we talked a couple of times. And every year he does these Naval Academy uniform shoots. So each year he's doing it in a different way. So in the past he did it on he did a shoot on an aircraft carrier, which is amazing, with the U.S. Navy. And this time around he outdone himself once again, and he shot on a nuclear submarine.
Yeah.
And that's nuts because
that's the logical trajectory.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I know how difficult it is to work with like the military in any sort of capacity. And
especially for photos.
Exactly. And going on a nuclear submarine for a shoot.
Yeah.
That's the paperwork, the bureaucracy. It's like, it's nuts.
Absolutely.
It probably took a year just to plan this ahead. And so he did a video. You should really go and watch it. It's fantastic, and the shoot turned out fantastic. He had all sorts of like difficulties, let's put it, or challenges. So like he couldn't bring flashes because like it's a sub. You think it's a nuclear sub, it's a big thing. Some of the aisles are really narrow, and bringing all the stuff is impossible. So he shot with a video photographer. So he shot the stills. There was another person shooting the video, and he used his lights, which were mostly like tube lights and stuff like that. So they went for a very specific, like kind of dark colored look, because that's the thing that they were going for, and probably any other thing would be too difficult to do. So,
yeah, absolutely. It's a very confined space.
Yeah.
And they probably don't have much time to eat.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I'm guessing that everything that they shot need to go through like censorship. Yeah, in the military, so they won't show anything that they're not supposed to show. And they were probably restricted on where they can go in the submarine. Yeah. Complicated. Anyway, so that's that. Go and watch it. DaVinci Resolve has a new subversion. I don't know how you even call it, because it's 18.6.4. So it's not like a full on update, but it's a small update. Did you read did you update it? Yes.
I haven't.
I think it's like
I may have updated on one of the computers, but I haven't used it yet. The main add-on or addition to the
there are a couple of those. I'll put them on the screen.
Yeah, the main thing there is transcribing, which has been around for a few.
No, but this
18.6 on.
Yeah.
But now you can because it's a little clumsy the way that it's been done.
In Premiere, it's actually kind of nice.
don't
You
really.
didn't
I
try
mean,
it in Premiere.
the function, it functions great. Like and I think I talked about the little hidden gem that I found as in the subtitles. But the
Yeah.
subtitle is a menu item, and transcription is an actual button, or you can do it from the media pool.
Okay.
But now they've added, like, you can transcribe whole bins. So you create a folder, a bin, throw all everything that you want transcribed in
It
there,
transcribes everything.
and it does it automatically, making it a little more streamlined,
Yeah.
which is always thankful.
Yeah.
I'm always thankful for
Yeah.
that.
So there is, staying in this software side of things, there is something called drag and drop folders in Photoshop and Premiere.
Yeah.
It's a small, it's kind of nice because it's like it's a really it's a freeware.
It's an extension to the.
Yeah, it's extension either for Photoshop or Premiere, both. And what you can do is like use it to directly open folders from Premiere or Photoshop.
Right.
Just, it saves time. So it's free. If you have a use for it, I'd say, try.
Yeah, if you use a lot of like recurring folders,
Exactly.
like your backgrounds,
You
or
can
your,
have like
yeah.
I'm using the Stream Deck, so it's not that important for me. But for people, if you can use the Stream Deck, it's a fantastic tool. But for those who don't know, if you have any other needs, try it. I'll put the link down below. And finally, we have something which we have tested a few of those, but not this configuration. It's called
Dune.
Yeah, but in a strange.
So it looks like done, but also may look like a dune. So
Whatever, yeah. Basically, it's a mobile.
It's a productivity monitor.
Yeah, but it's a dual one.
Right.
Fully connected. It comes in several versions. There are 2K, 4K, 16-inch, 17-inch. It's interesting. There's a few issues. It's a Kickstarter, I think, project, or Indiegogo, I don't remember, a crowdfunding project. The thing with all of these is it is a touchscreen from what I've seen, and they do show a use case where people are using this for like editing in Photoshop, for example.
Right.
My use case, if I have a chance to talk to them and try and see if we can get one, my use case for this is that when we're shooting tethered in the studio, I want two screens. When one I'm watching live, and the second screen I'm watching what I shot before, like the previous image.
Right.
And there is, well, I mean, you can do all sorts of things depending on your system. You can split the screen into two parts, but you need a big screen. With this, you put one, like the previous one on one screen, the current like live view on the other one, and you're done. And you can use like the touch screen, so that's pretty nice. It's kind of a nice idea. Obviously, it can fold, I think, so you can close it. I'm guessing.
Yeah, you can. It looks like a laptop, so there's the hard back and then the screen's inside, so you can.
I don't
close
think
it
that
up.
they have a battery. It's powered by USB or whatever.
Exactly. I don't think there's
Cabling, I'm guessing, is going to be an issue. I'm not sure how it's going to work.
That's the thing. There's no real. It doesn't have a mount. You can't. It's like the back is flat. You could probably do a magnetic mount or something.
I would like to have a version of this with a VESA on
that would be great. And but other than that, having a double screen that you can just add on to your laptop or whatever, I think is great. I mean, it is.
Again, I don't think
4K,
that this is the first one in the industry, but the 4K and 16 and 17, maybe. It's interesting.
It was good.
Yeah. Okay. So that was everything that we had for you on LensVid Talk 12. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want to watch more videos just like this.
Check out the website.
Exactly. And thank you, Art, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye, all.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Almost. In this LensVid Talk, we're looking at fast wide lenses that come back as Super 8 cameras and
something
and more, and nuclear submarines.
Actually, that's good. Start. Okay.
In this LensVid Talk, we're look. Blah.